This is going to be a recap of UFC 285. The main event was Jon Jones and Ciryl Gane. Then we get here to Bo Nichols and Jamie Pickett, and we already knew what it was. But if you go back and look at the replay, when they was in the clinch against the cage, Bo threw a knee that hit Jamie below the belt, and it was a clear foul, and the referee didn't call it or nothing, and then he was taken down immediately and submitted. And that was going to happen anyway. It is what it is. But how many fouls happened tonight and they stopped fights and gave people time to recover? And then just nobody saw this?
You know what it is? I hate to say this, man, but we just seen Jamie Pickett. I'm not going to say give up, but we saw Jamie Pickett look for ways out of fights before in the past.
Yeah.
So you don't really reward that, man. Against Jon Jones, they would say, hey, man, they would have stopped it. They actually did when Jon Jones fought. Like, the first kick Ciryl Gane landed, they was like, nah, bro, I need my break. But because Jamie Pickett, he's
the person who found a way to lose, unfortunately.
Yeah, so it's kind of like,
no disrespect, but
because he was gonna get submitted a minute after.
Yeah,
so I mean,
the same thing was gonna happen. But Bo, I mean, this is not shocking. This ain't surprising. He did what he's supposed to do.
He can't be forcing on his next couple opponents. Man, he gonna have to show some striking. You can't just back everybody up against the cage and go for them desperate takedowns, man. Against like Robert Whitaker, against these guys, you got to set it up a little bit better.
Oh yeah. And then we got Mateos Gamrot versus Jalen Turner. Split decision, man. I don't know how Mateos keep getting these decisions. We'll run a poll on it. I don't think he won the Armand fight, and I don't think he won this fight. And it was the damage, man. Jalen almost knocked him out so many times, and you still lose. And then Gamrot never had him in a submission. Now there was one point where he had Jalen in a crucifix for about 10 seconds. But then once he got out of it, I think he got him in a crucifix twice. Within the span of 30 seconds, he was in a crucifix about 2 times. But outside of that, the reason that fight was on the ground in the first place because Jalen dropped Mateos. And he still got those rounds. I just don't understand, man.
Yeah, they need to change the judging. They need to change the system because how is control weighed and value over damage? How come in other fights, then damage weighs more than control?
How come Sean O'Malley won based off the same metrics that Jalen Turner lost here tonight? He won the stand-up and almost knocked his opponent out, but he got taken down. The opponent didn't go for submissions. The only difference is Mateos had that 30-second span where he had him in that crucifix, that sneaky crucifix, but other than that, that was literally the only offense he mustered throughout the whole fight. I think there was 2 times where he landed a good punch on Jalen, but then right after that, he got dropped every time.
It's like they reward certain fighters off their talent and their skill level. My thing is, Jalen was the underdog, so like, why are you rewarding him for that when he's the person who's supposed to lose his fight? Because he's fighting somebody who's ranked higher than him.
You're rewarding the person who's supposed to win for not getting knocked out by the person who's supposed to lose. And it's like, what the heck is that, man? I just don't understand what they got going on with this judging, man. It increases Jalen's stock because it was only a split decision, and most people think he won. And Mateos took the fight on short notice, so I guess it's like
and that's a tough fight for anybody fighting Gamrot like that on short notice.
You really got to be worried about him taking your back and submitting you or doing whatever.
Or he just the wrestle thing, man. He does 3 rounds. You never know he's gonna take you down. He's like a nightmare of an opponent. He know how to win MMA fights.
Speaking of that, man, we got Shavkat and Jeff Neal, man. I couldn't confidently just say Jeff was going to win, but I thought that Jeff had the tools to win, and I wasn't wrong because he almost knocked Shavkat out clean. Now, I don't know why Jeff missed weight, but once you miss weight, I automatically kind of know that you're not healthy. Like, I automatically know something is going on because why you missing weight?
We got to look into Jeff Neal's, his heart and soul, because he had every reason to like look for a way out in the first 2 rounds. Because anybody else, Shavkat had him against the cage, was throwing the kicks and the elbows, they would have been looking for a way out. And Jeff was always in there until the 3rd round, until towards the end.
He almost got Shavkat out of there, man, but Shavkat is that guy. And man, we've been saying it for a long time. I want to see him versus Khamzat. I'm tired. This is the fight I want to see.
I don't want to see him versus Khamzat. I mean, I don't care if he fight Khamzat. I just want to see him versus somebody in the top 5. Because this thing in the welterweight division where all the top 5 opponents are not fighting each other.
I hate that.
Except with the exception of Gilbert Burns and Bilal, they're probably the only 2.
They're the only 2 people. And then the funny part is Bilal don't want to fight Gilbert.
The weird thing is, you got guys like Colby Covington who just like, where is he? Where are you? Who are you fighting?
Where are you?
But he's sitting around, he's trying to fight the weaker out of the people who probably not even in the top 5. So I just want to see Shavkat fight against Colby. He called out Colby. I think that'd be an excellent fight for him, man.
Colby will never take that fight because it's too dangerous and he might more likely lose. And then we got Valentina Shevchenko and Alexa Grasso. And I got to say this, I'm not a hater of Valentina, But like I said in the prediction video, the division has been stinking since she's been the champion. I just gotta call it what it is. The division, it seems like it don't move. It's not exciting. You never hear about Valentina. You see Valentina doing random stuff on like the UFC channel, and they might go somewhere and do an event or something. But you don't be knowing about Valentina fighting until her fight is the next fight on the card. And I'm sorry, but it just stinks up the division. The division seems stale. She's a great person, great personality, great fighter. But the marketing side, like how Jon Jones really sell the fights, and I ain't saying she got to talk a bunch of nonsense, but it's just bad, man. It's like, holy crap, do you have a champion? I forget about this division sometimes. And when I think about this division, I think about, ain't it Amanda Lemos in this division?
No, she's in the strawweight division.
See, I'll be getting confused. Who's the contenders in this division?
The flyweight division is Erin Blanchfield.
Oh, yeah. I want to see these people fight, man, because I'm sorry, bro, but I'm not saying I want Valentina to lose. I didn't want that to happen. I'm just saying I just wanted to see a good fight for once. And I don't think Valentina won the last fight.
And I hate to say this is probably a whole nother discussion, but I'm going to be real. Women's MMA ain't really looking too good right now. And I'm going to tell you this. The reason why is because, first of all, name another female that's in the featherweight division. You can't name one. You can't name a female that's in the UFC's featherweight division other than the champion. The featherweight division ain't looking too good. The bantamweight division, you got girls like Raquel Pennington. You got Holly Holm. Holly Holm is coming off losses. Her record is full of losses. It's like, bro, who's in the bantamweight division who can contend? Ketlin come off a loss. So the bantamweight division ain't looking too good. Juliana, she's probably the number one contender right now. And she coming off a loss.
A bad loss to the
So it's like, okay, now we go to the strawweight division. Wei Lee, she gonna have the belt for a long time. Who gonna fight her? Rose? Nobody want to see that.
They're not pushing Rose no more.
Other than Amanda Lemos might help that division out. But then you get down to the flyweight division, and now it's like Valentina, she's staying up division. She don't talk a lot. And then
Alexa probably gonna lose the rematch because if we looking at what Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena, I hate to say it, but when people win so many fights in a row, you're gonna lose eventually. And more than likely she'll win the rematch, and then that division gonna be stale again.
But also, this is hurting Erin Blanchfield because now they got to fight a rematch. So then, what does Erin do? What happens if Alexa win the second time? Then what? You know what I mean? So like,
they might make Erin fight somebody. Erin might lose.
I'm saying, dude, because then we're gonna have Davidson versus Brandon all over again, man. Because if these are number one, number two fighters in the flyweight division, they gonna go back and forth.
I don't want to see that.
So it's like the women's MMA ain't really looking too good.
It's looking
other than a couple of contenders like Amanda.
There's some hot fighters.
Erin Blanchfield.
There's a few. The thing with the women's divisions, it's always seemed like you got the champion, and then there's about 2 or 3 other fighters worth watching, and everybody else kind of just there, just a name on the list. I hate to say it, it's almost like the flyweight division. You got the champion, you got about 2 or 3 guys. What's the guy name? He fought Brandon Moreno. He fought everybody. Brandon Royval. Once you start getting to Brandon Royval in the flyweight, he's ranked what, number 4 or 5?
He's getting a title shot?
No, I'm saying he's up there to where he's in that 4 or 5 or 6 category. But he alternate wins and losses. So it's like, how was somebody who alternating wins and losses that high up on the rankings? Yeah. And that's kind of where the women's MMA is. It's like you got a few people, and then after the 4th or 5th ranked person, it's like ain't none of them really worth watching. I hate to say it, but something got to be done to spice up the division. Hey, they need a tournament, or they need to do something.
Valentina, she was getting stuffed, man. I don't know what happened in the 4th round. She started going for these weird takedowns. She wasn't landing nothing. It looked like Alexa was putting hands on her. I think Valentina, she gets to a point in her career to where she tried to coast and just do enough. And that's what Amanda Nunes get criticized for too. Because when she fights certain opponents, she'll just get the takedown and try to coast. I think that's what Valentina tried to do, man. It didn't really work out too good. But Alexa, that's probably one of the best back takes I ever seen.
Speaking of back takes, I think that might be the best rear naked choke I've ever seen. Bro, that rear naked choke was perfect.
Alexa made one mistake though. She said she trained a lot for that position, and like you don't come out and speak about that.
Yeah,
you gotta play chess, man. You gotta just say, hey, there was opportunity, and I took it. But now Valentina know to look out for that, man.
Because that's the only submission that's gonna work like that. Because obviously you don't want to play the triangle game. People never get triangle. You don't want to play the guillotine game because you're still back on your back. Speaking of which, why did Derek Brunson drop down for a guillotine? But anyway.
Why?
And then arm bar stuff, you got to be in a dominant position to really get those. So why would you tell them with your secret move?
I think this affected the Jon Jones fight too, because I think it gave Jon Jones more confidence, because if Ciryl Gane can spin, maybe he can take his back and slam him and take him down.
And that's exactly what happened, man. Look, he got him down, and once he locked his legs around Ciryl Gane's legs when he had his back, I knew that basically he was not about to let Ciryl just stand up. And at that point, it let me know he's about to keep him down here, and he's finna do something filthy to him. I didn't know if that was going to just get him on his guard and laying ground and pound. But the fact that he had him latched on like that and he was like, I'm not letting go. You know it's dangerous for a fighter who's playing defense when they're they call them these awkward positions on the ground. Say you're trying to stand up and you know that thing Khabib does where he'll wrap his legs around your legs, but you like sitting up against the cage.
Yeah.
When people start doing stuff like that, certain grapplers, you in trouble. Because this ain't like, let's say, an old school Josh Koscheck who just take you down and then he'll hold you down, but you can might can stand up at some point. But they wasn't doing all that. John Fitch and them was not wrapping their legs around your legs so you couldn't. They was not doing it. This type of wrestling, when people do things in that line, bro, you're done. You're smoked. Because that means that now they trapping you, and even when you stand up, they finna be going for submissions. And that's what happened. Ciryl Gane actually escaped one guillotine, and then he posted up on his hands and tried to stand up while John Jones was cranking on another guillotine, and now your neck is defenseless. The reason why I'm upset with this fight, it ain't that John Jones won or nothing like that, because he's the GOAT. The thing is, we didn't actually get to see nothing. That's what make me so mad, because I'm like, dang, I actually wanted to see a fight. At least 2 rounds, a little back and forth. How do John Jones stand up, match up against Ciryl Gane? Can Ciryl defend a few takedowns? And if that kind of happened and then we got the same result, that's cool, but I just wanted to see a fight.
And John Jones did say before the fight that Ciryl Gane, he was getting taken down in the 4th and 5th round against Francis, who could barely pick his feet up. I thought Jones was going to try to get Ciryl Gane into the later rounds, but he ended up ending prematurely or faster than what I thought he would. I mean, it helps John because Stipe didn't get a bunch of data from this fight.
Yeah.
It's not like Stipe can say, oh, well, John does this in the 3rd round and the 4th round. We still don't know how good John Jones' cardio is.
We didn't see no cardio. We didn't see hardly no strike. We being real, the little bit of striking we saw, John won. Because that one right hand that he landed when Ciryl Gane he didn't stumble, like he wasn't dropped. But it's like, I think John maybe punched him while he was kicking and he kind of like took a step back. And I remember thinking to myself, man, did that punch hurt Ciryl a little bit more than he's leading on? And then it seemed like John was kind of frustrating Ciryl too, because he wasn't letting Ciryl do what he wanted to do. I don't know, man.
He was real efficient and precise with his punches because clearly Ciryl Gane had a speed advantage. But the thing is, when John Jones, when he threw that right straight, he was able to land it. It looked like Ciryl Gane was off. I said this before the fight.
Yeah, he did, man. I didn't want to believe it.
Normally he's laughing. Before he fought Derek Lewis, they both were laughing and Ciryl Gane was clapping.
You can count on Derek to make a mistake.
But the thing is, Colby, the guy who we had on here, he actually called it. He said that John Jones has a mystique about him that actually it affects certain fighters before the fight that he fight against. And I think it looked like that kind of got to Ciryl Gane. You fighting the greatest of all time. So it's like you fighting the greatest of all time. It's going to affect you mentally. It looked like all that got to Ciryl Gane.
And I hate to say it, but now that I'll go back and look at it, I didn't want to think that this was the case. But when you look at Ciryl Gane's face at the weigh-ins, did you see that?
Oh, I saw it, man.
Like, when you look at it now, bro, he was out, man. But it seemed like when you go back and look at the weigh-ins, and I kind of noticed the look on Ciryl Gane's face, I was like, man, Ciryl looked a little nervous, but I was like, okay, he's still going to perform. So that was just...
Not even that, but before the fight, Ciryl Gane was saying certain things. He didn't say how he was going to win, and he didn't seem like he was confident. He just seemed like, I'm going to go out there and just find a way to win. You know, it wasn't like confident, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It was, I will win. It was like, yeah, you're saying that, but you don't seem like you know how you're going to win. And the Ciryl Gane thing, he's going to dance around John Jones for 5 rounds and win a decision like that. Just think about it. Did Ciryl Gane even have a way to win? I know it's easy to say that now in hindsight, but I'm saying, looking back, like this Ciryl Gane thing he's going to do to John what he did to Derek Lewis. And then nothing that John Jones said. He said, bro, you fought against some guys, man, who was flat-footed. You fought against some guys who can't cut you off.
And that's what John did really well. Did you notice? The little bit of striking that we saw, like...
But I think that's what helped, because people say, well, Ciryl Gane has horrible takedown defense. I don't think that's the case. I think the case is John Jones was able to mix up the striking. You got to understand that right straight landed before he took him down. And then what happens? Ciryl Gane threw a punch, and then Jones slipped it, and he took him down. Because I think Derek, that was his path to victory over Ciryl Gane. But if you don't get the striking going, how you going to take him down?
But you got to have the fight IQ and the awareness to even do that, man. And some of the things John Jones was able to do, most people can't do it anyway. To Ciryl Gane's defense, he only got taken down by the GOAT fighter of UFC history, and he got taken down by the fighter with the most knockout power on the earth that's measured. So you got to be worried about that. So it opens up his wrestling. So he only been taken down by 2 people. One of them is the greatest of all time. So you really can say just one.
You know what it showed? It showed that John was right when he said Ciryl Gane don't have the best defensive technique with striking or with the grappling. He has his footwork, his movement. He used that as a weapon. Because we said Ciryl Gane takedown defense is like 45%. And he was like, who took him down other than Francis? Nobody was even able to touch him. think about the word touch him. So I think if Ciryl Gane can make it to where his opponents can't touch him and grab him, how they gonna take him down?
Yeah.
But I think against opponents who can get close enough to do it, they may have a chance to take him down. But the thing is, it's only like the John Jones, maybe Stipe.
That's it.
But I told you this before this fight. I said Sergey Spivak is a horrible matchup for.
What this does is, I think that now Ciryl Gane is in no man's land where you can beat everybody but the champion. You kind of have to keep fighting the everybody else's. But within that group of everybody else, you get fighters who go on these runs. Like both of the Sergeys is looking real hot right now. And then you might start getting beat by those people who 9 times out of 10, you should probably beat them. But now you're going to be in a situation where you just kind of floating in the middle between the champion and then all the other contenders.
I don't think so, with the exception of like Curtis Blades can beat him now.
Even if he win, he going to win 2 or 3 and get a title shot again and get it for what? You got beat in the first round.
Yeah, but John ain't gonna be around that long. He said he gonna fight Stipe and he gonna be done. So maybe, how old is Ciryl Gane? Maybe he got enough time to like fight and just keep fight for the belt whenever John leave. It's gonna hurt his legacy, man. You're gonna be in the Kevin Durant type category.
Yeah.
But at the same time, man, like it's not that I think Ciryl finna go on a big losing streak, man. He arguably didn't lose in Francis' fight. That's why I say he was really undefeated when he fought John. But I think honestly against like a Stipe and a Sergey, I don't think they're just good matchups for him. But he's gonna beat everybody else. He could beat 90% of all the other fighters. Cause these guys, bro, they can't even go on the win streak, man.
Yeah, they can't even get up there.
Mays, they can't even. I hate to say it.
Augusto, man, you never know if he lost 2 in a row, 1, 2, like you don't know.
But honestly, dude, that whole thing about when Ciryl Gane fought Tuivasa, when his coaches had to tell him, "Hey, man, let's bring that dog out." It's like that's not really a good look.
And then the whole thing about I don't train until, that wasn't a good look. And I'm gonna tell you this last thing I'm gonna say about it. John was right when he said, "You're just happy to be here, and I'm not gonna lose to a guy like that because it's about legacy." And he was like, "This is my career. I'm the GOAT. I'm the best of all time. You're just in this moment." And I was like,
I think stuff like that affects fighters, man. Because Ciryl Gane, I don't think he's able to fathom that.
I know.
I think because he knows that, oh yeah, he's the LeBron James. I'm just a guy who was an all-star this year.
And we in the playoffs, but the reality is, like, it's like you playing against the Warriors in the playoffs. And the reality is, when you play the Warriors in the playoffs, what you think more than likely the outcome going to be? You're going to lose.
Exactly, man.
And then at the end of the day, you know the Warriors more than likely, if they make it to the playoffs, more than likely they're going to make it to the championship. So you playing the Warriors who have done this year after year after year, and now you playing them in the first round of the playoffs. This ain't even like the Warriors versus the Grizzlies where they went 7 games, right?
With the Grizzlies last year?
Yeah.
In the playoffs?
Yeah.
Yeah, they won. It was a 6.
This wasn't even like a back and forth thing where the person came out on top, where the GOAT came out on top. We didn't even get to see no fight. This is why I said I was mad. You mad. This is almost like getting swept. And it's like we never got to see nothing. But that's good for John Jones.
I just want to see if John Jones can land a head kick or a front kick, man. Because the thing is, John do the bare minimal of what he didn't do to win sometimes. So I think against Ciryl Gane, I would have liked to see Ciryl Gane show better defense. So I can see them like in the second, third round exchanging punches, exchanging kicks. Because the thing is, John said, though he was taking people down at almost 100% clip in practice, John said he really didn't get hit at all during his training camp.
I believe it.
You know what I mean? So
when your opponent on their back, of course it's gonna be hard to get. But
so now you know why he trained with Walton them, so he could be ragdolling.
I was laughing, man.
Who else he gonna train with? Who he gonna be ragdolling like that?
Hey, I was laughing, man, because on the countdown they act like he brought in the Avengers of heavyweights. He brought in, who he bring in?
Maurice Green,
Walt Harris, and Jorgen De Castro.
Yeah.
I'm like, you brought in a bunch of people who I don't even think half of those guys in the UFC, and the other ones, they probably hanging on by a thread, and apparently it works, man.
But the 3 of them together can't get John Jones, man.
I know. Yeah. Hey, but then it's funny, man, because
it's going to get real interesting in versus Stipe. He said Ciryl Gane is the most incomplete fighter that is in the top 5 in the heavyweight division right now. So it gets very interesting, him fighting against Stipe, who he can't just take down like that. So they're going to be going back and forth, man. You got to understand. DC struggle.
The only thing I'm going to say about that is, man, as great as Stipe is, I believe Stipe overall, because since Francis left, he don't get to say he was the greatest heavyweight of all time. You still 1-1 with Stipe, and Stipe has a larger body of work at a championship level. So Stipe is the GOAT of heavyweights. That's just a fact, just the numbers. The thing is, Stipe, I hate to say it, has been a bit chinny at times. Daniel Cormier knocked him out. Francis knocked him out. And those are not bad losses because both of them have knockout power. But that lets me know that John going to get him and ragdoll him.
I don't think he's going to ragdoll him. I think he can knock him out, though. Because people say, oh, yeah, how you going to do that? He's not a striker.
Ragdoll might be the wrong word.
You got to understand, John. I can't see John Jones repeatedly take it down Stipe. Especially at Stipe.
Let me tell you this, though. Do he need more than 1 or 2 takedowns if we're being real?
That's going to be a real fight, man. It ain't going to be like this.
Yeah.
And the thing is with Stipe, especially at Stipe that shows up at like 235. Remember when he fought DC the second, third time? He's worried about the cardio, and he trained his butt off for that fight, that training camp. If he show up at 235, John ain't gonna be able to take him down. Not for 5 rounds.
But do we need to keep taking him down repeatedly? Dude, John only need 1 takedown.
No, but this is one fight, though. You gotta understand, man. Like,
do you think? I'm gonna ask you this question right now before it happened. Do you think John Jones and Stipe will be a trilogy?
No.
Because I think that...
No, I don't think so, man.
I think that if Stipe wins, John deserves an immediate rematch.
I don't think Stipe will win, though.
I'm just saying. But then, if John wins, he can just retire. It's over.
Yeah, it's going to be bad for MMA, man. If John Jones retires, it's going to be horrible for MMA. I'm going to tell you why. Because the light heavyweight division is already an asterisk next to it. Because since he's left, it's been multiple champions.
It's been 3 champions.
Heavyweight champion, what's going to happen? They're going to have Ciryl Gane fighting against
nobody
Stipe.
Wants to see it.
I'm going to just keep it real. Stipe did come off a loss to Francis and Gane. He already got an asterisk next to his name. So then imagine if Stipe lose to John Jones, and now you got number 2 versus number 3 fighting for the belt. Now it's like, okay, neither one of these guys are the 2 champions.
And it's funny because then you can look at both divisions and say the only reason any of them have a belt is because John Jones ain't there. Because he beat all the best people and left. Boy, oh boy.
And then we didn't even see John Jones at final form.
Yeah, he was.
Because he said he still want to lose about 15 pounds.
Man, he was in. What was you talking about with Dragon Ball Z?
Perfect Cell.
What Cells first? Man, we just saw him at like Larva. That was Larva heavyweight, man. That wasn't even, I guess, technically imperfect because he went up the first time and we don't know what we're going to get.
I say semi, man. I say semi. He just got to cut down about 15 pounds. He's there, man.
Yeah, we didn't even see him nowhere near where he was going. So
I guess he was right when he said Thiago Santos was the most dangerous striker.
That's crazy. A fighter in the PFL, bro.
Yeah, we need y'all to like this video, subscribe, leave a comment.